Hey everybody, this is Mr. Markowitz talking to you today about sound on film. Now, if you're interested in the history of sound on film, I'm not going to spend any time talking about it, sorry. But that doesn't mean it's not important, that's just not what we're learning in this class. So if you are interested in learning about the history of sound in film and how it was established and how it matured in the early part of the 20th century, then check out the links below. Crash Course did a wonderful job giving a comprehensive history of the history on film, so please check that out if you care. But that's not what we're talking about today. Today we are talking about different types of sound, specifically sound relationships, okay? So I have three different types of sound relationships here and then a transition, which I'll talk to at the end. But let's get into it. Off-screen sounds versus on-screen sounds. Off-screen sounds are exactly what they sound like. It's a sound that's coming from off-screen, okay? Right now you see me in my garage talking to you. My voice is an on-screen sound. I am on screen, you hear my voice, on-screen sound. However, if you heard, for instance, my furnace, which is sort of on screen, maybe, going in the background, or maybe a garbage truck driving in the background, or birds flying in the background, or something else, a sound happening that's coming from off screen, we would call that an off-screen sound, okay? This is an example from When Harry Met Sally. In the scene, two couples are having a double date, and their voices, their conversations with one another, is an on-screen sound, right? However, there is a lot of off-screen sound as well, and these off-screen sounds really help contribute to the overall believability of the scene. Imagine if those sounds, those off-screen background restaurant sounds, weren't there, and all we heard was the conversation, the dialogue between the characters on screen. It wouldn't really feel like we were in a restaurant, okay? So you need those off-screen sounds. A couple walking through a park, you want to hear the kids playing in the background. You want to hear the birds singing in the background. You want to hear these off-screen sounds because it will help add to the believability of your scene. Also, it's important to note that a lot of those off-screen sounds aren't actually recorded at the time of filming. They're recorded earlier, later, doesn't matter, at another time, and then incorporated into the final edit of the film. That way the editors have complete control of, how loud they want to make the sounds or whatever it is. Then we have diegetic and non-diegetic sounds. Now, diegetic sounds, it's going to get a little complicated, but bear with me. Diegetic sounds are sounds that we as an audience understand that the characters in the film can hear these sounds, okay? So you've got two characters on screen and they're talking to each other, right? They can hear each other. That's a diegetic sound. Character claps their hands. Character plays an instrument, whatever it is. If the sound originates in the context, the world of the film, then that's a diegetic sound. A non-diegetic sound is something that we, the audience, can hear, but that the characters in the film can't, okay? Typically it's music, but not always, and I'll get into that. But check out this scene from The Shining, where Danny is riding his tricycle through the corridors of the Overlook Hotel. He doesn't hear this creepy sound in the background. If he did, he'd probably be a lot more scared. But we hear it. That's on purpose, right? Stanley Kubrick wants us to feel dread. So he uses this non-diegetic music in order to enhance that mood, all right? But again, music isn't always non-diegetic. There's certainly examples. Characters going to a concert, person playing an instrument, person listening to music in their car, whatever it is, okay? Because all of those examples live in the world of the film, right? The characters in the film can also hear those sounds, that music. Those would be examples of music as diegetic, okay? Non-diegetic, I guess, hey, it enhances the mood of the film, right? But again, typically not typically, always, the characters in the film would not be able to hear those sounds. It's just for us, just the audience. Then there's simultaneous and non-simultaneous sounds. Simultaneous sounds are sounds that are happening at that moment, all right? Two characters talking. Those are happening at that moment. That's a simultaneous sound, okay? A non-simultaneous sound is something that maybe the character is remembering from their past. Think about, in Star Wars, use the Force, Luke, right? That would be an example of a non-simultaneous sound because Luke, in that moment, is remembering the advice that was given to him by Obi-Wan Kenobi. Here's an example of a non-simultaneous sound from the movie Psycho. Marion Crane has just stolen a bunch of money from her boss. She's fleeing town, and now she's remembering what her boss... actually, she's not remembering what her boss said. She's having these imagined thoughts of what her boss might be saying about her having stolen this money.
Yes, Mr. Lowry.
Carolyn? Line still isn't in?
No, Mr. Lowry, but then she's always a bit late on Monday mornings.
So these are different types of sound relationships. Now we'll talk about a sound bridge, which is a type of transition. Basically, if you want to go from one scene to the next scene, you can use sound as a way to transition from, scene 1 to scene 2. Here's an example from Silence of the Lambs. Clarice Starling is on the telephone, and we still hear her voice as we cut to the location in which she's talking about.
I figured he's from Baltimore, and I looked in the phone book, and there's a yourself storage facility right outside of downtown Baltimore, sir.
Well, there you go, guys. This was our first lesson on sound. I hope you got something. The next video will be a lab assignment, so look out for that. Good seeing all of you guys. I'll talk to you later.